again, like I said, people one way or another, your taxes are going up, and you need to understand something, that inflation is a tax. Milton Friedman explained it really, really well. You're either paying for all of this spending with taxes, or you're paying it with the, how your currency is devalued. That's the reality.
You're listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, where you get valuable information you just can't find anywhere else. To thrive in today's trying times, you need the Financial Survival Network, now more than ever. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and get your free newsletter and gift. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.
And welcome. You are listening to and watching the Financial Survival Network. I'm your host, and got a special treat for you today. Wall Street's watchdog, Chris Markowski, is with us, and it's been a while. Chris, what's happening in the world here? Pretty dull time of world history, isn't it?
Hey, lots going on with politics, and you can't turn your head without seeing something going on, or somebody getting faux offended by some comment somewhere that, oh my God, I've got the vapors. A comedian made a joke, and then it's getting to be, patently absurd and nonsensical, but it always has been. I've been talking, it's funny to take that and you put the politics aside. I'm laughing my head off because just how the bond vigilantes they're here, and they told the Fed and Powell that they could take a hike with their rate cuts. And it's not just here, though, which is the amazing thing, is you're taking a look at yields rise all across the globe. And again, we got to be politically correct nowadays. Used to be able to say something. The United States of America is the tallest short person in the world when it comes to this right now, because it's happening everywhere. It's hilarious.
You know what we say on FSN? We say that the U.S. is the best looking house in Baltimore.
There you go. In and around the Johns Hopkins Loyola area there. I know that area well.
Yeah, so things aren't what they used to be. But in the meantime, you got China appears to be in a financial implosion, of which they have no ability to deal with. We got half the world trying to blow up the other half of the world, it seems. Right?
With China, it's like saying, okay, I'm going to throw a ball up in the air. And what's going to happen? It's going to come down. And central planning, it happens every single time it's tried. And you do to try to control, the Mother Nature, which kind of is akin to what economics really is these trillions of interactions that happen every single day. And you think you've got some handle on it, you're going to fail. And China failed miserably. I mean, they were going in the right direction for a period of time, and they decided to go all in Mao with Xi. And again, no shock here. I mean, anybody ever believe that the numbers that the Chinese government puts out, their growth numbers, anything at all, it's all a fugazi. Everything that they put out there, they've got major issues taking place. The real estate issues are beyond the pale. Yeah, I don't know how they're going to go about resetting it. What was the announcement today? It was like 1.4, another $1.5 trillion stimulus.
Bazooka.
Yeah.
They did the bazooka, and the market went down. It's interesting. There was once. It's always a question of life imitating South Park. There was that one where everything in the world was securitized, and he wanted to. The son wants to get a refund on the margarita maker, but he can't. The store won't take it back because it's been securitized. So he goes to the hedge fund on Wall Street that owns it, and he goes into their offices. And the way the system they're using to place their bets is they're cutting off the head of a chicken, and after they cut the head off, the chicken walks around this wheel sprouting blood. And then
no, that was after the hedge fund, Kerry. That was when they went to the Fed and the government. And remember that the chicken landed on bailout, if you remember.
I mean, you can't make this stuff up, Chris. I mean, this is maybe they're not cutting the heads of chickens off, but maybe they're just looking at entrails instead,
Well, right now, I mean, everybody's it's just like, okay, you lowered rates by 50 basis points, for whatever reason it may be. And if you took a look at the numbers that were coming out, there was no real justification for it. And the market said, nah, now we're not going along with this. This is not going to happen. And right now, the entire world is awash in debt, and they're printing more. It was funny today. It was like you had the usual cheerleader for the Fed and big government Steve Leisman on CNBC. He's like, I don't like to give the Treasury pass fail when it comes to bond auctions. I want to give them an A because at least they sold everything. I'm like, buddy, the higher the rates are, that's the more that we the taxpayers are paying on all of this debt. Not to mention the fact that's the largest line item on the budget at this point in time is interest on the national debt. I mean, it is a big deal, but it's a big deal everywhere. And it was interesting. Somebody sent me a clip, and I usually kind of remember these things. I don't remember. It was Alan Greenspan saying, "Hey, listen, one way to get out of the debt situation is to force everyone else's hand, and everybody else goes bankrupt." Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's the case. I know that's what we're trying to pull right now. Or maybe it was the other one I heard is maybe the CIA is behind Bitcoin and they're going to run the price up to a couple million and we'll bail our way. I don't know. But right now, it's debt as far as the eye can see, and nobody's taking it seriously.
Yeah, so they don't take it seriously until they have to take it seriously, right?
I think we have to now. I mean, you're taking you've got mortgage rates back up above 7%. We have our issues with commercial real estate here in this country. The underwater portfolio is worse than it was for the housing crisis during the Great Recession. I don't know how they're going to weasel their way out of that. They're like playing extend and pretend right now and hiding assets on balance sheets. But it's an ugly situation right now. And again, we all know our government finances most of our debt in short-term instruments that they can't perpetually roll over again and again and again. And now they're rolling it over at higher rates, which is just going to cost the taxpayer more money.
Well, eventually they're just going to monetize it, right?
Again, like I said, people, one way or another, your taxes are going up, and you need to understand something, that inflation is a tax. Milton Friedman explained it really, really well. You're either paying for all of this spending with taxes, or you're paying it with the, how your currency is devalued. That's the reality.
So over the weekend, the former president proposed elimination of the income tax, just putting in tariffs, I guess, as a substitute, which in theory sounds wonderful, but how's that really going to work out?
Yeah, in theory, it sounds wonderful that everybody gets free beer. But it's just, it's a theory. It's great, but it's not going to happen. Nor are many of these policies. We all know this, that a lot of these things are just used for public consumption. You can, listen to things that are, promised in the run up to Election Day or State of the Union addresses. No, that's not going to happen. No, it's not feasible. I am all for the elimination of the income tax. I'm a big believer, rather go through a national sales tax. I think it'd be a hell of a lot better than an income tax. Got to do something. But again, I wouldn't instill anything like that until they actually, repealed, the illegality of the income tax and trust government, because then they'll do both at the same time. We'll have a VAT tax and we'll have it. I don't want that. But I'd much rather see a national sales tax than what we have right now.
Yeah, well, for one thing, it'd be a lot easier to calculate because you wouldn't have to calculate it. I mean, what? Pay
at the point of sale. How about that? A consumption tax. You're paying at the point of sale. Works every single time.
What would it be, though? Like 10%, 20%, 30%?
John Linder actually had a book ever called they actually call it the fair tax, and how it would be set up. And again, you'd have to figure how that would go about working. But again, it would also, you would be getting rid of FICA as well with that also. And let's just understand something, that your FICA tax is just a tax. Again,
and Medicare.
When I cite South Park, I remember the old in Simpsons, the Duff Beer Factory, where they had like Duff Ice, Duff Dry, all this. It was all the same beer just going into the same spouts. All the money that you're paying is all going to the Treasury. It's all the same thing. It's going to some lockbox somewhere. No. It's not going to Gringotts Bank with the dragons from Harry Potter guarding your Social Security money. It goes to the Treasury and it gets sent out the damn door.
So it all comes down to South Park. Maybe we should put them in charge of what's happening here, huh?
Those guys are geniuses. I have to hand it to them. They called a lot of stuff over the years. Yeah. That's for sure.
Yeah. The Kevin Spacey's dungeon, all of this stuff. And they called Donald Trump being elected president many, many years ago, right?
Yeah, I think it was The Simpsons did that. Yeah, The Simpsons did that way, way back in the day. It was one of the calls that they made. But again, they've had so many calls. They've been on since what, like 1987 or something?
Yeah, a long, long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the big question always is, do you just buy gold and silver? You buy cryptos, real estate?
Anything. Stocks. All assets. My clients, tell me, oh, you're wonderful. The performance is fantastic. I'm like, I appreciate the kudos and all that, but you got to understand that some of this performance has been due to inflation. It's not just, the fact that, it's great that we got great companies in your portfolio and they're doing well, but you need to also understand that these things are up along with, inflation. That plays a part in this also. And, right. Your portfolio is, whatever it may be, it looks great and all stuff, but it's not worth as much as it was. I actually saw some numbers the other day. I said, going back to 1996, and if you had if you were a millionaire then, that's the equivalent to about $500,000 today. It's a big difference.
Yeah. Big difference. But it's so hard to compare prior price levels to current. For food, cost of an omelet or a cup of coffee. I go to this place called the Inflation Cafe in the mornings, and they just raised the price on my particular drink. And my drink's a little funky, but basically everyone has their drink there. And it went from $5.67 to $6.32 overnight. And, it's no better. And, when I go back and I look at theirs, I did an analysis. It's in my, I have to send you a link to the article, but basically they've got up 44% since 2014. And they've cut back on their rewards program by about 80%. And they're making more money than ever, but yet they can't keep their heads above water.
Well, that's the inflation that matters. I was talking, it's the bare necessities inflation. It's the stuff that you have to buy on an everyday basis. Again, the wizards are smart. The economists say, inflation is at this percent. Listen, okay. Yeah. Every 10 years or so, I need to buy a new TV, and that's great that the price is a lot less, but the fact is the stuff that we have to spend money on every single day continues to go up. That's what's most important, whether it be, your heating costs, your electricity costs, your car costs, gasoline costs, your food costs, your haircut, whatever it may, all of the things that you have to spend money on a regular basis continues to go up. And that's why people are so frustrated. Yeah, like I said, it's great, efficiencies and productivity, driving down the cost of electronics and certain things and durable goods. But the reality is, how often do you have to buy those things? You can't eat an iPad.
Yeah, it's so true. And as nice as a Tesla is, you can't do much with it other than drive it. And electricity prices up, everything's up. So assets are the key to surviving here. And if you can get assets with cash flow, like not commercial real estate, but residential real estate, like leasing different items that people have to have, then that's where you really clean up, right?
Yeah, any you have to have your money working for you. If you're not, again, you're falling behind. And that's why everybody they feel it. You're taking, you're working your butt off. You might get a raise. You're taking 2 steps forward, but you're taking 3 steps back. The only way you're going to avoid that is you got to be, prudent with your money, and you have to be invested. You have to be putting money away. You have to beat inflation. And because it's there, it's a reality. And if you're not, like I said, you're falling behind.
We don't really know what the real inflation rate is, but
It's
right
certainly higher than 4%. And what are you getting at your bank, or, what is the, short-term treasury right now? Right around 4%. It's certainly a hell of a lot higher than that. So
if you buy a piece of rental real estate and you're paying 6.5%, 30-year fixed mortgage, I think the inflation rate's probably closer to 10%.
Yep.
So you're basically getting free money, subsidized.
Yeah. Without a doubt, I think inflation is probably above 10. You would go back with the old way that they calculated it, back to the Volcker numbers. I think it's even higher than that. So, you always have to find a way to try to, get ahead of the game. Again, you do it through real estate. You do it through, you look for great companies that you can see growth in, that are paying you a dividend as well. And you reinvest that. You compound those safe yields over time, which is the royal road to riches is compounding. And you do that, you're able to, stay afloat and get ahead of this as best you possibly can. Because again, inflation's the way of the world now. We have neither candidate right now that is the slightest bit serious about cutting the government down to size. I mean, God willing, Trump allows Musk to go in there and cut a couple $1 trillion. Because again, we do that. I mean, you're going to talk about, an economy where we got an enormous amount of potential. We can do unbelievable things if we can get our fiscal house in order. That would be fantastic. But again, am I holding my breath? No, I've been alive for way too long.
Well, one thing that Trump did last time that really was effective was when he issued the executive order that for every new regulation you want to pass, you got to get rid of 2.
Yeah.
And that 2 turned into 20. And imagine if he said you got to get rid of 100. All right. Or you got to get rid of.
How about you get along with whatever, you got to get rid of like 5 government workers.
Right. That's
top of that.
That's
and on top of that, too.
100
government workers,
100 regulations, and 100 government employees.
Yeah. So we cut that down to size. We're well over 2 million some odd. I mean, it's insanity.
And contractors, military industrial complex,
everything. Yep. Cut it all out. Cut it down to size. It's disgusting what we're watching taking place in this country, how we spend money. I'm here in Tampa, Florida. The devastation in some of these areas here at the Hurricane, North Carolina. Here you go. Here's a $750 check. We were sending billions of dollars all over the globe to all of these countries. It's patently absurd. It really is. We have the capacity to deal and take care of our own people here in this country, and we don't. I've explained this. You're not the priority, people. You're not. If you were, they would be taking care of you with stuff like this happen. Right now, they don't. You're not the priority. The military industrial complexes, the defense contracts are, and obviously their friends overseas.
Exactly. Yep. They managed to get taken care of, but the people who really needed the storms have just really exposed the scam of the federal government. So when we have this talk a year from now, Chris, where's the country going to be?
Oh boy. Well, listen, I don't, I'll be honest with you. The way the media works nowadays, especially with politics, I have no idea, quite frankly, how, this is going to turn out with this election. You're basically looking at Donald Trump and God willing, I'm casting my vote for him. I've always been, in 2016, he wasn't my choice. Rand Paul was. I've always been, the libertarian type, a big Rand Paul guy. But to me, he's the better choice, in my opinion, at this point in time. Or you're not getting Kamala Harris. You're getting Obama's fourth term. It's Obama's fourth term.
It's the cabal.
Yeah, she's not running the country. Come on now. Let's be serious. Yeah. She's not. It's, the Obama crowd.
Yeah, it's the military industrial complex and the intelligence community, the IC, that are running the country because, it's obvious. So scary times. Chris, just tell us, where do we find you? How do we connect with you? Your podcast, your website, all that good stuff.
Easiest way to do that is to get to my website at watchdogonwallstreet.com. I can subscribe to my podcast there and all the other stuff that I have. Get to my YouTube channel, all sorts of great stuff. It's watchdogonwallstreet.com.
All right. Excellent. Links in the show notes to this interview on financialsurvivalnetwork.com. When you're there, please sign up for your free newsletter. We got over 40,000 subscribers now. And keep adding more, thousands every month. Appreciate you coming on, Chris. If you've got a question for Chris, myself, email kl@kerrylutz.com. Chris, thanks so much. We'll talk to you again soon.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, your solution to today's trying times. For the latest, go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.